You are listening to the audio series by Emma Bradford. For more information about events, about one-on-one coaching sessions, about trainings, you can visit www.emmabradford.net. The inner critic, the most common mistake and how to avoid it. I thought it was about time I recorded this, seeing it's something I've talked about a lot during workshops. It's also one of the most common diseases out there, and yes, I've suffered from it too. I can't do it. I'm ugly, stupid, fat, etc. I'm not good enough. Seriously, I don't know a single human being who hasn't thought one of these negative self-talk phrases at some point in their life. Quite often when we do, we assume we're the only person, that somehow everyone else out there is separate from us, and we're stuck in a gloomy, lonely, dark corner. I'll let you into a secret. Believe it or not, these limiting thoughts are not coming from us as a whole human being. We are simply the one hearing these thoughts. We're something so much more if we dare to believe. These are coming from what many call the inner critic, that part that is scared, fearful, angry, and hurt. The part that's holding on to limiting beliefs and fears by a way of protection and comfort, however weird that may sound. Though by continuing to believe and act according to these thoughts will only take us so far. Quite often when we believe we're not good enough, that we're flawed, we use it as an excuse as to why we can't have something, do something, or why we can't enjoy the life we desire. We use it as an excuse to stay within our comfort zone, believing that we must be what we think society views as perfect in order to be worthy of something. Funny thing is, perfection is totally a matter of individual preference and perception. To be worthy of a great job, body, or partner does not mean that we need to be perfect. Yet often the negative voice within doesn't take notice of this. And you know one of the reasons why? Because we've been giving it attention to what it says as if it's gospel, and we haven't cleared away the limiting beliefs within. Being a perfectionist can have its drawbacks, especially if we choose to believe the inner critic. Good news is, it's not too late to change. Thanks to many practical tips I've learnt from NLP, I've discovered how to start detaching from my inner critic, transforming the voice into my inner cheerleader whenever I notice it arising. Is it always easy and plain sailing? No. Though what I've learnt along the way has made it so much easier. It's completely transformed my relationship with the inner critic. You see, this fearful part, the inner critic, contrary to popular belief, is not something to be shunned, boxed, or suppressed. You've probably heard the phrase, what you resist persists, right? Is applicable to this too. The inner critic is the mean voice within, giving us a dare in its own special language. Translated, it's saying, go on, I dare you. Are you going to listen to everything I say, or will you pursue what you love anyway? I've heard endless times to just reject what the inner critic says, and I certainly thought that at first too. Whilst this might be partly helpful, it's also a common mistake in how to effectively deal with the inner critic during the long term. If we solely ignore what it says, certain negative thoughts and beliefs will simply continue to pop up if we don't deal with the root cause. Our inner critic is simply repeating fears and limiting beliefs that we have stored unconsciously from a young age. For example, if we learnt I'm stupid when we were young, that may still pop up in the form of our inner critic if we don't address the root cause, the very first event in which we decided that. I've gathered a lot of information on this topic, both from my professional work and personal life experiences over the years. No doubt it will probably become a book one day too. There's just too much to include in this one audio. First of all, let me just give you 3 simple steps that both my clients and I have found helpful when noticing negative thoughts from the inner critic. Pay attention to the 3 L's. Number 1, listen. Listen and observe what the inner critic is saying. Awareness is key. Observe what is being brought to your attention. There is a huge difference between listening and learning compared to listening and believing the negative thoughts. Number 2, learn from the inner critic. What is it teaching you about your fears? What limiting beliefs are being pointed out that can be let go of right now? Where and when did you decide these beliefs originally? How can you view that past event differently now so to let go of the limiting beliefs? For example, if you notice the inner critic often comments, "I'm lazy, I can never get anything done," dig a little deeper and uncover the root cause using the questions I just mentioned. Number 3, connect to what you love at a soul level regardless of what the negative chatter says within. The inner critic is an expert at finding excuses and reasons why you can't do something. Notice that believing and acting according to what it says, you simply keep yourself in a state of fear. Noticing the beginning letter of each of those words, finding excuses and reasons, notice how that spells fear. So there you have it, the 3 L's. Listen, learn, connect to what you love regardless. And finally, know this, there may be good days and challenging days. And when we discover skills to gain insights and detach from the inner critic, life can become much easier. It's like we suddenly have the handbook and phrases to speak another language if ever the need arises. The inner critic is not something to reject or get rid of completely. It's something to help us learn and embrace our shadow side so we can step into even greater wholehearted way of life, layer by layer. And by doing that, notice how life can be so much more insightful and fulfilling. It's there for a reason. The inner critic is one of our greatest teachers. It's simply up to us to recognize it and utilize it. You are listening to the audio series by Emma Bradford. For more information about events, about one-on-one coaching sessions, about trainings, you can visit www.emmabradford.net.